Right, so I think I'm recording right now, and not 100% sure where I'm going with this, but we'll find out. But one thing that I will do is I will unpin this. I won't actually unpin it, I'll duplicate this tab and then I'll move this tab out of the way because that's just generally the coding thing. This is YouTube Studio and it will allow me to see what I can see. And I've just been making a logo actually, which is the front logo. So I'm going to go to broadcast live. So this is kind of what I'm doing here. Content live. I'm literally going here just to check. And I made this new little logo actually, and the reason why I've made this logo is a specific reason. But this is going to now be a channel on JavaScript. So I'm switching over from Python to JavaScript. It's going to be the beginning of a JavaScript journey, I guess is what we'll call it. I used to code in JavaScript a lot, or Node.js, and that's part of the logo. So in fact, I'm just going to click on a live now. View in live so I can actually see it. So I can see myself. So I'll see myself in myself and I'll see anyone that joins in, and I'll do a share as well. And that will let me share. So like, here's the link anyway to the YouTube. So copy that and I'll share it to things like x.com if I can. So let me just try and do that now. I'll just share it in. I call it Twitter. Still, some people have rebranded and some people haven't. So this is, I'm going live basically, so everything's real. You sort of like see me build this up, and I don't even know where I'm going to go at this point in time, but it should make its way. So close it, and just so that everyone can see the logo, which I did create somewhere here. I created a whole bunch of logos, and the reason why I created this particular logo, which looks like this, I can zoom in a tiny bit. It's a mashup of this Node.js, which is the back end of JavaScript, and the front end of JavaScript. So it's kind of like, we'll call it full stack in a way. And it kind of, why migrating, you might ask? And I've done like, I don't know, 100 videos or more, 200 videos on Python programming. Is that Python's fantastic as a language, by the way. It really is. It's a naturally synchronous language, although it's got asynchronous stuff in there, whereas Node and JavaScript is naturally asynchronous. A lot of people will say that, but kind of like more importantly than that is that I've never really been able to get Python to work in a browser without having to run a Flask app or a Django app and so forth. As in, if you just want to run something like locally on your PC and sort of like use the browser as a visual output, you can do that with JavaScript naturally, but you can't do that with Python naturally. With Python, you'd have to use something like TK-int or Pygame or one of those things. Obviously, you can run like lots of good websites using Flask and Django and so forth, but they need to be server side, and the server needs to connect to the back end needs to connect to the front end. And sometimes you just don't want to do that when you're doing like local stuff, and having things in the browser is quite convenient basically. So that's sort of like the general idea. Now Node's got a slightly green logo there, so I used the green tint at the top, and JavaScript's got like a yellowish or orangish sort of like logo there. So that's kind of like the blend here. I'll reopen it actually. There we go. You see, sort of like see the blend. So that's what we're doing. Basically, maybe it'd be nicer to blend it the other way, so it's all like matched with the orange at the top and that down the bottom. But anyway, that's what I created, and I knocked that up relatively fast. I'm sure I'll be able to make some improvements. And here were some of the assets. I put it into an assets folder, so it's kind of like JavaScript. I just made a logo folder, but really, actually, what I should have is an assets folder of some kind if we're going to continue this tutorial. But I'll think about doing that at another point in time. Now, The other thing is when you use any languages, and it just depends what you're actually doing. But if you're using VS Code, I'm a heavy VS Code user, so here's my VS Code over here, and I'll just like maximize it over there. When you go into VS Code, you've got all of this kind of stuff down the side here, which is all of your applications, your extensions, basically. And for all of the different languages, you have to go and install them, but it comes naturally, I think, with JavaScript already there. In fact, VS Code was written in JavaScript. Really nice application. One of the best applications I've used, actually, quite frankly. So it's sort of like a natural base, and there's a lot of like natural easiness about using JavaScript. So I'm kind of like after 4 years and even writing a book. So if I can find the book, I will. Somewhere. There we go. So it isn't a case of not liking JavaScript actually. It's control to zoom in. There you go. It's Python. We go ahead and buy the book. It's in a plug for the book, but go and buy the book. It's really interesting. And actually, there is one similarity, which is both Python and JavaScript are scripting types of languages. So they run. You don't need to compile them basically. So you've got compiled languages. The compiled languages typically run faster, and then you've got scripting languages, and they compile them. They've either got just in time compilers, or they've got some sort of just in time compilation. So they effectively just read the script and run it as they read it, whereas compiled language compiles from the actual code into bytecode, and then that's run a little bit faster. It's compiled into machine language, and that's run a bit faster. And that's kind of like the difference between all of those little pieces. So, but this isn't a Python course, although there's huge similarities, and because I spent the last 4 years doing it, maybe I'll draw back off of that. But actually, I do remember that when I went on the Python journey, and I was a huge Node programmer at the time, it was kind of like there's good comparisons between the two. So, and funnily enough, I do have actually Python code sitting here as well. So, and one of the things that I'm going to attempt to do, I guess, in this, so it'll be on my to-do list, is one can run a Jupyter notebook effectively in VS Code, and that's for Python. And I wonder if the same is possible in JavaScript. Well, I believe it is the same. So this swings and roundabouts. I might have to give up the notebook to gain the web browser facility, but I want the web browser facility, so that's where we're going to go. Now, you might have seen something like, even before I started, and this is kind of like how you maybe want to start every language, but what is the JavaScript naming convention? I just like went to look it up, and disappointingly, here we go, the accepted answer, 236 things, there is no convention. So, and I actually even looked it up in a GPT here. Copilot I've used, although I'm beginning to get annoyed with Copilot, because every time you launch Copilot, I wonder if I close it and relaunch it actually, see what happens there. Oh, this time it does go to the questions. I wonder whether there you go. It's kind of like a little bit annoying, because I did ask it about, oh, there we go, is a naming convention. We see the same thing here. But what is it, in JavaScript there isn't an official universal naming convention for files. So, typically in Python I've always used the underscore. A lot of people in JavaScript use a dash to separate the file names. The reality is that a dash is actually a little bit more convenient, because on the keyboard a dash is just a minus sign, and an underscore is a shift and a minus sign. So I don't know, maybe I'll even shift to using dashes. The only thing that really seems to be the case is that if you are using classes, it kind of like mentions this at the bottom somewhere. I wonder if I can zoom in on this. But basically somewhere here, modules and classes, if a file exports a single class or module, then name the file after that class or module. For example, if you've got something called my plugin, you can see the camel case, and that's Funnily enough, that actually links to Python. I don't want to link too much over to Python, but when you're creating a class in Python, the class begins with a capital. So that seems to be Pythonic. These languages are all sort of like mixed and joined. Obviously JavaScript is a curly brace language, and that's in a way it's another. I'm going to say it's another advantage in Beauty. I kind of did like the Pythonic way of doing things in terms of you don't have curly braces and so forth. But there's one thing which is you get forced indentation. Now, some people argue that that's a good thing, but I want natural indentation. So as in, if I create a function, let's just see if I've got something there. Yeah, function statement there. I get this natural indentation, and maybe I don't want four indents of indentation. Maybe I want two. And the way of getting the benefit of that is by having the curly braces. And also, you might argue that, I know it's visually, you should be able to see a function visually by its indentation, which is completely and utterly true. So you shouldn't be doing something like this, console.log, and then sort of there, another log to the console there. Oops. Log to the console. This is my little snippet shortcut. I'll talk about snippets in a bit. That just looks ugly. So you do want the indentation to be at the same level. You don't want this ugliness. But does a user want it forced upon them, if that makes sense, as opposed to doing it themselves? Now, JavaScript requires these semicolons, and this is one of the things that put me off a little bit in JavaScript compared to Python. Is Python doesn't require this, and then you get all of a sudden your Pythonic code, which looks something like I should do a little zoom in, I guess. Control plus. There we go. On your Pythonic code, let me get rid of the sidebar there so it's a little bit cleaner, and let me get rid of the bottom piece as well. Terminal. Yeah, I'll cross out the terminal now. What we can see here is that I don't know, it just looks a little bit cleaner. And in fact, if I was to define a function there we go, define a function there, we can sort of see the print. The other thing is actually Python offers a print statement and JavaScript offers a console.log, but maybe for different reasons. You need to log to the console in JavaScript, whereas Python is a print because you're not actually interacting with the console, so print. So we get this print in here, and then sort of your hello world, and print another hello world. Okay, now this is nice, and another thing here is you get the doc string in Python. Now the doc string is underneath the function, so it's wrapped inside the function, indented at the same level as the print statements. Now I'm wondering if I do something like that. Oh, there we go. It doesn't like it, so throws this little thing, unexpected indentation. Now that's from the linter, but it potentially would have created an issue. I actually wonder if I just do that and then try to run the function. So x equals function, and just try and run this little piece of code. There we go. Python throws this little hissy fit because I've missed this one level in indentation. Now, we all agree that this looks better and it should be like this and all the rest of it. But if I'm copying and pasting something out of the web, quite often you lose this indentation, or if you've got nested loops and stuff like that, this could become slightly problematic, and it might just annoy you a little bit, that's all. So JavaScript doesn't have that, but it swings and roundabouts with the curly braces versus not the curly braces languages. Now, we can do what we like. We don't have to worry about the indentation. Now, one thing that I'm going to look for straight away in here is indentation in JavaScript. And I'll go indentation convention in JavaScript. I'm not going right to the beginning. Spacing and indentation should be consistent throughout your code. I guess that's the one thing with all languages. Many developers choose 4 spaces or 2 spaces in JavaScript each statement. Well, exactly. So what we're actually being told here, I wonder if we'll see it here. Oh, an unofficial style guide, indentation and and spacing in JavaScript. So here are some examples of bad indentation. So one example straight away. Again, I should probably zoom in on a lot of this because I wonder if it's actually visible. Is that you shouldn't do something like this. Here's 2 spaces, here's no spaces. But this is fine, 2 spaces and 2 spaces. Now you can do this in Python as well. What you can do in Python, and I will do it, is I'll add a bit of code. The def function is you can have that, and then you can have another function, def function, and obviously you have to have the set. Well, it overwrites if it didn't, but let's say function 02. Shift tab, I don't know, 2 levels of indentation like this. Now, if I do that, I go to 2 levels, so print. So long as it's consistent within the function, this is perfectly fine. Right, that's perfectly fine. And print, not sure why the lint is not popping up straight away. For indentation, 4 spaces of indentation. So there we go. Maybe it looks like my PC is running a tiny bit slow for some odd reason. But anyway, we've got 4 spaces of indentation. Hi there, using print only 3 spaces. So we can do this, and that's perfectly fine, and it's sort of like visually, like, whilst it's not like amazingly aesthetic, at least it sort of like works consistently within the function, so that's perfectly fine. So that's kind of like effectively what's happening here. So I'm going to sort of like stick to the reason why I'm wondering about this is I might just go down to two spaces, because the curly braces give you the outlook of everything. So opening brackets should be in the same line as a function loop, so let's not open braces here. Now that's something actually that I've been guilty of. It's kind of like been a habit in the past, because I actually thought that was cleaner, but we're being told here that the brace should be on the same line, so your function name and then your brace. So, and a good example of that is like that. So opening braces should be on the same line as a function, and corresponding closing braces should be on their own line and indented to align with the indentation of the line that has a corresponding open brace. Okay, fine. So let's go over to our JavaScript now. Get enough showing everyone of Python code, and we can like jump over to the JavaScript over here, and maybe even make a new module. So I've got some modules here, like a test.js. Maybe I can run with that one, or I'll call this video.js or test underscore. What should we call this one? We'll call it YouTube, test underscore YouTube is what we'll do. So I won't do this exporting. Oh, you can see how and this is previous stuff that I've done years and years ago. I wonder if I can actually see when it was actually created, but this would have been years ago. So we'll do actually maybe make a new folder, and let's call this. Maybe in that case it wouldn't even. Actually, I won't make a new folder. Escape from that. Let's just make a new file to start with, just so that we've got something running there. So new, and it's going to go into the. Let's make sure that we're not in this test folder. Oh, actually, yeah, we will be in the test folder. That's fine. New file. So I'm going to make the new file in here, and we'll call this test, and this is just for the purpose of testing, so it should go in that test folder, and then say YouTube, so just something to show, and then the extension is JavaScript over there. So we've got that now. One of the really nice things, most of the modern linters do have this, is we've got this user snippets. So if I go to the user snippets, again, the natural one that's always there is the JavaScript one, and obviously I've added one for, I've created one for Python. So let's see this JavaScript thing. At the moment it's empty. So I've got no snippets, but there is some things that seem to automatically be there, so they're given to you out of the box, which again makes JavaScript quite a nice one to start with. So if I do a function, there's a function statement, JavaScript language, and it sort of does it for me, and it seems to have done everything in a nice way. So there we go. Now with this JavaScript JSON, I could and I will do this, but actually one of the things maybe I can just show quickly is, because I've been such an extensive user in Python, you can see the Python ones, and you can do this sort of like, you know, this is a very common pattern in Python: if double underscore name equals double underscore name, something that I've always hated, by the way. JavaScript doesn't have this. It's the main guard idiom, and I've literally written it like this, and you know, it makes the it means that, or it enables the Pythonic user when they're writing code to like run functions, and the functions will only work if the module is the main module. Now that's quite a nice cute trick, but like, you literally have to put it at the bottom of all of your Python code every single time if you want to run modular type of stuff, and you don't want the scripts you don't want the functions in the module to be read and run. So I don't know, it's a thing, like, you know, that's there. Anyway, we can avoid this in JavaScript. I know we can on the side for various different reasons, and we're going to go look into it. But basically, JavaScript, I believe it offers something that's called hoisting. So, but what we can see is that, like, I can define a function here, and that's when I did like def of the function, and I can do for loops and stuff. So I've got that all set up in JavaScript. You can set these things up as you like. Now I wonder why I get this question here. Expected comma. Interesting. Ah, there we go. So finds an error. Quite nice. Expecting another comma over there, no doubt. So that's quite nice. I'll hit the save button on that. But anyway, outside of that, my JavaScript one is empty. So if I wanted to have a JavaScript, because funnily enough, I did have a log to console, and my log to console works. I wonder where it's actually taking that from, because when I hit, so I've got this function, and look here, we've like automatically, this has just got one space of indentation. So straight away I've got this sort of like niceness in it. So I'll do a log, and that's going to log to the console like that. Oops, no, it won't. Log to console, there we go. So not calling the name, but calling the actual snippet. And it does that for me, which is quite nice. And I can do my hello world like this. Now, we can see that this is function and so forth, I guess. I don't know with the consistency of the indentation, I'm not, you know, but I can choose my level of indentation here. So, and I wonder what happens if I do a function inside of a function, so a nested function. So function, statement, and there we go. This time it's actually used two levels. So log again to the console, and then do another hello world. Now both Python and JavaScript offer single quotes and double quotes. I'm very used to other things which we'll get along with to see how these things work. Let's just call this function and just see if this function works. This thing seemed to be, I think maybe that's because I used the log thing and it automatically popped up in the snippets. Now function name, so I need to name a function, and then in inner. This is an inner function or a nested function. This is, I'm going to say, any more than one level of nesting is deemed to be poor practice in every single language. So we've just got to be a little bit careful about that. Okay. Yeah.
There is a food on the stove. Yeah, I've got to switch it off.
Right. And let's just continue with this over here, ignoring everything outside. So let's call our function. So how do we call a function in JavaScript? We'll call this, by the way, I won't use it name. I won't call it name. We'll call it the outer underscore function. Now, this is probably a poor habit because I'm using underscores and that's straight out of Python, although it's kind of like nice and clean. Let's just go and see over here. I wonder if it's actually got naming conventions for functions. Here we go. Okay, long lines. Lines should never be more than 100 characters long in JavaScript. Many developers aim at 80 characters as a limit. When lines longer than 100, break it into 2 lines and so forth. Okay, funnily enough, Python has that same limit, which is this, well, it's 79 characters for 80 characters. And in fact, on my screen, I don't know if you can see it. I wonder if I can, no, I can't zoom in like that. But we can see this line over here. I wonder if I got my drawing tools open. I do. So let me just try and run it. This line over here. So do I implement that? I haven't seen it on JavaScript things a lot, but there is that convention seems to exist. So it definitely exists in Python, and people get annoyed if it's not there. Now, when I was writing the book, that actually came in really useful. So like whilst I knocked it and it like really annoyed me at the beginning, it's actually really good practice to keep your lines of code within like 80 characters, because it does make your code longer but actually makes it easier to read. So some things that you can do, so like this really long function plus this other really long function is, let's have a look. This is bad. Let result equal this. That looks equally as bad. Let's clean it up a little bit. Now, I tend to not do this, and I'll show you what I actually do. So, and I wonder if I can get, this is somewhere where the semicolon might come in useful, but I wonder if I can do something like this. But I was going to go with the naming convention. It looks already like the naming convention is snake case, and I actually prefer, sorry, not snake case, this is camel case. I actually prefer camel case. Camel case is when you make this, when you make the first letter of the next word a capital. Now, this swings and roundabouts to all of these things again. I wonder if there is actually, let's just see spacing, okay. Clean spacing as well. So I'm going to just, this is just like a really top level actually, which is quite nice to do. I'm going to stick to all of these conventions. I'm just going to literally absolutely make sure that I stick to all of these conventions. Okay. What am I talking about with the naming of functions? Let me just go and open up the correct console. So this is the one over here, and I will actually zoom in again. There we go, and let's get rid of that on the side, and so let's move this down here. That's actually the terminal output. And again, one thing that's sort of like nice with JavaScript is it works with a terminal a tiny bit better than Python does. You have to sort of like do customizations. I hate doing any customizations. I don't want to have to customize anything. I want everything to run kind of like as naturally as possible. But the reason why is when you switch computers, move here, move there, all the rest of it, you have to re-customize everything all the time. So having a VS Code that automatically gets downloaded straight from the web and kind of like being able to open it. So something like this VS Code. Let's have a look over here, and then just hit the download button and just run it, and then not have to do any customizations. That's really appealing. If I have to download it and then have to start doing lots of stuff, that gets a little bit annoying. So what just happened there? Ooh, really slow. It's rendering because I'm probably doing stuff in the foreground anyway. It's probably just because I've got my application running here. So I've got the OBS Studio running. So let's just go back to the file naming convention. Now, this is a really long function name, and I'll take that function, and let me just tab over a little bit to my JavaScript version of it, and I've done outer function. Now I could do function just for the sake of it, and we'll create this function and we'll give our function name this really long, oops, Control Z. Shame I lost that. Let's just copy that, and paste it straight over here. We've got this really long function name. Now my alternative to this function, or the Pythonic way of doing this, people might get annoyed if I didn't do this, is go along with a really long function. Now, both are good. We can see that this is clean. So this underscore gives me a cleanliness. But what I don't like about the underscore, and it swings and roundabouts again, you can sort of like choose with this, is that the underscore gives me or means or loses me 2 spaces. Now, if I'm restricting myself, and I actually have got this red line over here, if it's visible or not, but there's my 80 character sort of like width. But some people say, you know, you could go up to 100 characters, which is probably about here. If I am doing that, then let me just go back to the thing. Then obviously I lose another 2. So you can imagine, and this did happen a lot in Python. If I've got nesting, you shouldn't have too many levels of nesting anyway. It's poor practice to have lots of levels of nesting. But if you did have, so here's my function, and I hit return, I've got 4. So I wonder why it did an indentation of 1 in the first place, but that was a bit weird. So log again to the console. Normal I'm doing is logging to the console at the moment, but I just do this other function again. So I do this other function, and straight away I'm going to go another. Really, well, we can see here, you know, with the underscores, we're sort of like already tipping towards the end because we've got these long function names, and we're going to go over our edge basically. And you know, I've cost myself 3 spaces here, so that's 3 spaces, another 2 spaces. So really long function, and this is, sorry, there we go. If I was doing that convention properly, it's a really long function underscore 1. So like, you know, I've cost myself 4 spaces. It's fine because I sort of like go back on the 4 spaces, but I've got these 4 spaces of indentation, and then I've got 1, well, not 4 spaces, 3 spaces, 2, 3. So I've used up 3 more spaces. So if I've got a third function, so function, now someone will argue at this point in time, well, what the hell are you doing? Because you've got a triple nested function. So I'm just going to undo that. Don't know what I did there. Control C. But if I did have params and then params 2, I can't even remember the convention. And we can see that I'm already over the edge now. The braces will like come over the edge and so forth. Now, okay, you can shrink your code and all the rest of it. You can shrink your fonts. So you could see it, but anyway, that's kind of like the thing with it. Now with this, the other thing is, I don't know, snake conventions are like easy to sort of like use. I don't have to do the shift and minus sign, so you can just, that's the other advantage of it, or you just capitalize. Swings and roundabouts, but I'm going to stick to the convention, so I'm going to stick to snake case. I've always liked snake case, so sorry, camel case. So this one here is, or I should maybe I'll even write it out somewhere, but the other thing I like is this double forward slash. Now in Python you use a hash, and all the other languages, or most of the other languages, seem to use a double forward slash, and for some reason there's a hash in Python, which again is weird, let's just say. So, and there's some nice conventions and some niceties about this double forward slash, but let's just go and say camel case, which is basically, and I think if I'm defining a, like just any sort of variable, it's a, I have to say const. So, or not, well, if I'm defining a constant, it's either var or let. So var is allowable, and I'm going to go through, when should we use var, when should we use let. From my understanding of it, and let got introduced sort of like when I actually migrated out of JavaScript into Python, but the let function is the local scope, and the var function is the global scope. I'm in the global scope. We'll talk about scopes as well. So var my variable equals 100. So there we go, something like that. And you know, I put the semicolon, but you don't actually have to put the semicolon. That's the beauty of it. I can cheat and not put semicolons. There's only certain places that you have to put semicolons, so I can actually write quite clean or non-semicolon JavaScript code. That's maybe what I'll call it. I could write non-semicolon JavaScript code quite nicely. Now the thing about that is if I go along and sort of like anything, I'll use a GPT because it's over there. I wonder if I did do something like this. There we go. When I do this, like if you're copying and pasting code, so let's just do example of a for loop in JavaScript. I've never coded in Java and I've always wanted to for other reasons, but JavaScript's for the guys. So example of a for loop in JavaScript, and then hit go. Right, and let's just see what it does. And this is a thing about like copying and pasting and all the other stuff. You're getting your code from all of these places. Now this large language model is pulling the stuff off the web. I could have done the same thing in a Google search. That's what I would have done a year ago. Now I'm just going to do this. Okay, it's done the example for me, and it's just talking a little bit of nonsense. I'll watch its nonsense complete. But that's how you do a for loop. Now this for loop, by the way, looks like a C++ for loop. It's got where it starts from. This is this let, which is this local scope, so that works inside of the for loop. So it's got its start and it's got its end. Python doesn't have that. Python has this really nice thing. I'll ask afterwards. We're not doing for loops yet, but it's an equivalent of the Pythonic range function, which is actually quite a beautiful little function. So because it iterates through, and actually I think there is because there's a for each, but the point about this is if I was to copy this code and we can see straight away that we've got this semicolon in here. So if I was to do this, I'm naturally being placed with semicolons. Now, the question is can I do that? Can I omit, or where can I omit the semicolons if I want to omit semicolons and have semicolonless code? But this all fits very nicely. Sometimes you get this, you get indentation issues with copying and pasting straight from Python into VS Code and other linters because they don't know what to do with the indentation. And sometimes the person that's written it has just used tabs, and I don't know, like for some odd reasons it doesn't work from time to time. And the other thing is when newbies sort of like write code, they sometimes don't get indentation right, and that really affects the Python. Now you would say, in a way Python forcing it is good, and JavaScript not forcing it is not good. But if you wanted to fix it, you can still identify. I can identify where my function is. Here, this bracket's sort of like highlighted, and this is actually a bracket highlighting thing, so I could have an extension for bracket highlighting, but it's highlighted and clear enough for me, if that makes sense. So I can see like where my function is. I can also sort of like close my function, open function, so I can do all of those things. That's my camel case, and this is going to be, so let's just copy and paste that down. We're now going to do snake case. There are other things like mixed case though, but let's do, camel case. I've got to be careful about that. My variable is what camel case looks like, and snake case looks like that, my underscore variable. So there you go. Again, this is only convention, by the way. We could name any of our functions anything that we like. So I wonder actually what happens when I do a class. So let's just see what the natural class is here. Oops, see a class. Have we define a class there? I wonder, because I would have thought that there would be something there already. So let's just go and do that so we can see everything live. I should actually just try and run this. Let's just see what happens. Let's get rid of our nested function and our really long function because we kind of like don't need them. You know what I'll do? A control for I will comment that out for now. And that's our outer function and our inner function. Let's get rid of all of that. And let's even get rid of our for loop for now, although it's got a console.log in there, so that would be quite useful. And we'll just run our code F5. This runs out of the box, which is quite nice. Now, nothing actually happened, both were accepted, no errors were thrown, it's perfectly fine. Now I could do and I was going to say print. You can't do print, okay? Because print doesn't exist as a function in JavaScript, so we have to do a log to the console like this, and this is at the moment deemed to be the console, but if I was running it in the browser, it would actually run it in the browser, and that's what the console is. So sort of like hello world is our usual thing. So right back to the beginnings, basically the first basics. And I don't like this debugger attached and debugger not attached, but we will get round to that. I wonder if in here, and I have actually set this up where it runs to the debug console instead. So, or does it run to the output then? I think that might be the one. But at the moment, we've still got this thing. It attaches the debugger because I've got debugging on, I guess, and then removes the debugger. I wonder, I think I've got it there. If I go to this thing here, and this is my, that will launch it in an external terminal. Let's just have a little bash at that as well. And it should just launch something somewhere separately. Oh, there we go, it has. It's still attached to debugger and detached it. This is the external terminal. I won't do that at the moment. I shall go back here. You can see I've only got, I try and keep as little as possible. So I'm just going to go to launch program. So it's going to run internally. And a lot of this stuff, and actually huge thing is loads of things use JavaScript object notation, JSON. Now, it just feels odd to me, although it's not odd maybe, but Python, it's got a JSON module. So, whereas JavaScript's a bit more natural for it. So in Python, and I'm on my Python code here, I can do an import of the JSON module just like that, and then it's like JSON. Don't know why my linter's so slow. JSON dot. I have to wait for everything now. It's going really slow for some reason. Maybe it needs a restart. There we go. And then JSON dot, for example, load or dump or whatever. So it's got the same sort of functionality in here, but I have to import a module to do it. And JSON translates to a Python dictionary. A Python dictionary is a hash table. The JSON, which is JavaScript object notation, I believe should translate into a, maybe I should open something up. It will translate into an object, a JavaScript object. So, you know, we're going from, and let me just try and open something up somewhere. I might make a file to compare the two in a way, the two languages in a way. Okay, I'll go to the writer over there. Just launch that just so that we can sort of like see something. But basically what we have is, or maybe I should have done a actual video. But we've got JavaScript on one side and Python on the other side. Is over here we've got an object, and here we've got a dict, which is short for a dictionary. Right. Now these things are just, I won't actually put this in, well, okay, I could put it in there. These, they look like, so an object looks like this in Python, and it's got key and value. Now I'm not 100% sure on the quotes and so forth, someone might call me out on that, and value. So something like that. I don't know why that didn't open up the quotes actually, it's a bit of an odd one. Key and value, and Python has exactly the same thing. So it's got these, just maybe a different language, it's got these key value pairs. for both of them, and they think they might be general. This is called a hash table. So I've become very used to calling this a dictionary, right? But I think in most other languages it's just called a hash table, and here I think it's kind of like recognized as being sort of like this object is a hash table. So a hash table is a fast lookup. It is an extremely powerful tool in all of programming. So again, maybe I should be going to zoom in on this like that. Oh, there we go, I can zoom in. I might keep this open. I don't know if I can zoom that much, but because it runs out of screenage at a certain point. There we go. But you get the idea. So in JavaScript, you've got this object thing, and in Python, Control Z that out in JavaScript. That's what I make. I'm gonna make my JavaScript like this orangey color, and Python this, I guess, bluey color. There we go. Because they're sort of like the differences, and this is our generic version of it. But we'll see that. But one thing is you have, or at least the whole point of this is you've got this JSON, right, which is this Java object notation. Now, there are other things like YAML, which is, funny enough, I think it's yet another markup language. The advantage of JSON over YAML is that it's slightly terser and a little bit faster, therefore. So YAML allows for or it allows for comments, whereas JSON doesn't. And actually, that's an annoying thing about JSON. It's like you're expected to know what the JSON structure is. There's no sort of like help inside of the file, whereas in the YAML file, it's more Python. I will actually say this in a way. This is more Pythonic, in the sense that it has this kind of like indentation and all the other stuff. And if this is this is more JSonic, I guess I just made that up. I got no idea what it's like, but it naturally fits into JavaScript, and we can tell here because it's the JavaScript object notation. So it was built for one and not for the other. Doesn't mean, but anyway, that notation's widely adopted amongst everything, and everything can read this object notation, but it does fit into, or it was created with one specific language in mind. So let's just move that across somewhere, so I don't need it there. Right. So anyway, we've got going back to everything, we've got our console log here, but let's just continue then. What else can we do in that case? We've got our conventions. I just wonder if I do function again. I wondered why I had that one level of indentation. Now all of a sudden I got 4. Some kind of glitch maybe when I created that function initially and it gave me 1 level of indentation, or did I do something? Maybe I hit the keyboard or something without realizing and put 4 levels in. I don't know. But the other thing is the parameters. So sort of like how do we write a function in JavaScript? But before we get to the parameters, maybe we will go through I think this is the thing really to do is, so that is our convention. We are going to go to camel case. I don't yet know how to, or I don't know why class didn't automatically come up. So I'm just going to do this on the side, but it won't be a main thing. Create a class in JavaScript. There we go. Let's just see what it does. Zoom in a little bit there. There we go. Okay. This should have done something like this for me, but it didn't do this for me. I don't know why. Like it, as in when I typed in class, it should have automatically recognised and done it. But maybe that's because my system is running a tiny bit slow. Let me just try that again. No, it's not. So, which is a little bit annoying because I want that to be in my snippets. I wonder if I do a I save everything, close it and reopen it. Close all of that, and actually maybe I'll close my other thing as well for a sec, and then do a recent folders JavaScript. Let's just see, that should launch JavaScript. Let's see if that's working a little bit cleaner now. I don't like the lag, that's all. So no, it's not one of the snippets. I'm wondering if there's any snippets in here. Well, it did have the function, so I'm just wondering if there's any other snippets that are naturally there. It had log, so for. It's got a for loop. Okay, so it naturally came with that. And a if. So it's got an if statement, it's got if else. I'm really surprised that it doesn't have a class in there. Maybe you'll see me do my first snippet then. I might have to. I don't want to have to do a snippet. I would have thought that comes straight in there with it. It's a bit of an interesting one. But having said that, maybe not. Maybe there's not all the snippets in there. So, you know what? I will do a snippet. I'm going to kind of like take this, all of this. But one of the things about classes is you get this constructor, and again, this is really annoying in Python. You get these double underscore functions, which are called dunder methods or magic methods, and they just look ugly to me. They really do. And whenever you create a class in any language, you have this thing that's a constructor or an initializer. Now in Python, it's double underscore init. Here in JavaScript, it's called constructor. And I quite like it being called constructor because it is a constructor. So, you know, that's the wording of it, should we say. You know, constructor name is a special method. Let's just go and do this then, shall we? I wonder if I can even do this live. When a lot of these videos that I do live, I have them like pre-practice for. So if I crash and burn, I crash and burn. So let's have a look over here. Control. User snippets. Right. Now I'm just going to go to the user snippets over there because I haven't done one for a long time. I'll go to user snippets again, and I'll just open up this Python one as well just to see how I started it all. But these user snippets, and the reason why I got talking about this is actually JSON notation. So basically, okay, prefix body, okay, fine. So it's going to be something like this. I've just copied that. I wonder, okay. Place your first place your snippets for JavaScript in here. Maybe I should have kept that open. Does it go inside of those these two curly braces? Just let's have a little look at that. So user snippets again, and I'll go back there. Yeah, you see they exist inside of that. So everything's nested by one level. You can see the tabs over here as well. So not 4 spaces, tabs. Oops, cancel. I didn't mean to close that one. I meant to close this one. So this thing here, X, is going to go in here, and it's going to go here at one level of nesting, and this thing here, I guess, has now got to be. I wonder how it goes. I'm going to open up a new VS Code, and I'm going to go to Python over here. I might actually pin this now because it's going to become major. So I'm just going to open up a new one, and I'm going to go to over here, user snippets, and I will open up. So I could just got them side by side, kind of like. Then I can sort of copy the formatting across. Yeah, okay, that's the key, and then the rest of it is the value. So that's my, I presume, well, actually, the funny thing is I shouldn't actually be copying the Python stuff because it's actually originally written in JavaScript. I interpreted it to its Pythonic version, and now I'm interpreting it back. So maybe I shouldn't be doing that. It actually tells you what to do. Example, print to console, right, is over there already. So my example is class, right, and then something like name of class. Now, I believe that the convention for a class is to have a capital. Now, this is where snake case, camel case isn't so good, is when you've only got like two letters like of, because I think the underscore is actually a little bit clearer then. So I could call it class name, name of the class. I don't know. Name class. Let's just go back. We've got the underscore at the moment. Let's just see what our little right. Yeah, okay. It starts with the I was just checking. It starts like that, and that's convention. I'm quite sure that's convention, which is it's convention in Python. It's partly likely to be some of the convention in JavaScript and other languages, but classes start with capital letters, whereas functions start with lowercase. So that's that. Now, the reason it's got this double this yellow squiggly underscore is that I need to put a colon in here, I believe, and then all of the other pieces. And so, how does it go? Right. Okay. So let's just have in here, I'm going to have a prefix. So there we go. It's looking quite nice now. I can't remember exactly what the prefix does, but I think it's the minute I start typing class, that's what pops up. And then, so prefix is class, and then the next one is going to be, I'm just going to put this here. Once I've done the first one, it's all going to work. There we go, body. This is a nice thing about JavaScript, which works really nicely with the object notation. Is all of this stuff is kind of like pulled in and given to you, right? So body next. I wonder if I should actually have description above it, but that's going to be the body of it, which is going to be all of the, let's just say all of this stuff. So potentially, and I'm not a billion% sure yet, but this in some way, X, is going to feed into the body. Now, oops, be careful about that. Right. I think you can leave a last comma here, by the way. That's fine in it. So it's going to be something like this. We're going to start, if I hit return, it's going to look like that. Let's just copy it. Well, actually, I could have copied this format body. Okay, so the body is everything in square brackets, is what it is. The body is like an array. So it's not in quotations. So close that, get rid of that. I shall get rid of this. And I wonder if I can do this. The body is going to be something like that. Everything in square brackets. You can do that. And now everything is in quotations. So I'm not indenting at this point, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not indenting that. And each line is in its quotations. So can I use single quotes? No. Control Z. Can I use double quotes? Yes. And then I need to put a comma. So basically, I think I can copy this whole thing. Now, this is the thing. I don't have to worry about all of the tabs and all of that. I need to put a comma here, I probably. Let's just see. Invalid characters in string control characters must be escaped. So here I probably have to put, I did 4 spaces. So now I'm forcing some sort of convention, but I could do 2. And over here again, so it does get annoyed at a certain point. It doesn't let you put a tab here. Invalid. I wonder if I do a tab. It doesn't allow. It's quite interesting because if I was actually writing code 1, 2, 3, 4, anyway, here it seems to be 2 spaces, which is interesting. They've got the 2 spaces. Now, why is that throwing a hissy fit? Because I haven't got the comma here. So I'm basically just turning everything here into strings. Basically, this is a blank line, and this is a constructor, and I'm going to call this param 1, and this is where I use the underscores actually. First param, and then I don't know what to call this now. Param 1 and param 2. There we go. And the reason why is I'm keeping this is generic because it don't want it to be a name, and so something like this. And it's thrown in these semicolons, but are the semicolons actually needed? I'll keep them there at the moment, but I may well get rid of them because I don't like semicolons code. If there's one thing I don't like, it's semicolons. Only when they're necessary. So introduce self and then do something like, again, this goes in quote. Now, I haven't used this a lot, but there's backticks, and backticks enable you to use this dollar notation. In Python it's called an F string. Again, which one's better? I think I'm going to enjoy backticks, I really do. So let's just get rid of these 4 spaces on this tab. That's interesting. 1, 2. Okay, 2 spaces. 1, 2. Okay, fine, that's all right. Needed the comma here. And go param this, and then instead, because this is when you use this keyword, actually I've got to change this as well. This param 1 equals param 1, and this param 2. This keyword is the self keyword in Python. I don't know why Python changed all of these things. This is quite nice, and I think it's used in other languages. It was just a convention, I guess, but all classes need a way of referring to themselves, and I think this is a standard keyword, and it saves you in Python whatever you put in your equivalent of this constructor. So over here, and I will do it when I actually do the actual class, is you have to whatever is here refers to the class itself. So, and the usual way is actually calling it self. You could call it this, but literally everywhere the convention is to use self and not this. Now, I prefer having, I'm going to say the language is a bit maturer. I don't want to put this into everything every single time because I know this is this. And if there's one gripe about the way that Python does it is that you have to put self into every function, and that's just damn annoying. I know that this is this. I want to know that this is this because that's the whole point of a class. So I find that really annoying. I don't know, like, you know, you're treated like an adult or whatever in Python. That's sort of like the way that it's done. But you're in the class, so this is just this. So sort that. This is correct. Copy this, and then so this is param 1. So I can get the value of param1, and then I'm going to stick to the convention. So I'll stick this one here and then call it 2. So param2, as in I'll just make sure that it's not too long in terms of size. And here's the thing about all of this. Like, I don't want to go over these 80 characters at the moment, right? Semicolons annoy me, because guess what? The semicolons just push me over the edge. I'll just do that just to get rid of it. But we can already see I've only got 2 parameters in here, and it's kind of like throw me over the edge. And the semicolon's one thing. You know, Python has these underscores, indentations, and all the rest of it. JavaScript's got, you know, this other annoying feature, should we say? So anyway, that's that. Which means I have to put a comma here, which means I'm still over the edge. So yeah, that kind of like annoys me in a way. I will leave it for now, but I will address this because I don't want. I literally just don't want that. I think that's a bad thing to have. Quotation, and the last one doesn't need a comma, but I'm going to stick a comma there anyway because I just think it's cleaner. You know, it's got its body there, so let's just get. I wonder why it's done the indentation down there to that level, but I'm going to put it at that level because that's where it belongs. And that's pretty much it. So that should be a snippet. If I hit save, Control S, now when I go into my YouTube thing, at least now I can attempt to do a class. And there we go. I need to put a description in there, but we can see something quite nice, which is tab. I get all of this sort of like out of the box. I got this little thing here. Now why have I got this twiddly thing? Expected. Introduce self. Where? I'm expecting am I expecting the semicolon here? No. Where am I expecting? Expected. No quick fixes available. That's going to annoy me massively. Let's just go back because I did remove a semicolon somewhere from something, or did I not? Name, age, they've got their semicolons, and there's a semicolon there. So I'm going to have semicolon nightmare hell. I'm not accepting that. So let's just move that out of the way. Just like shrink it and move it out of the way for now. Is there something here that's missing? No. Start deleting things until semicolons sort themselves out. Param1, param2, right? Why am I getting a... because I've only put the constructor in. So if anyone was watching, but they're not, then that would have sorted itself out in a way. I've missed the first bit. I've missed this whole class. So I need to go there, and that's a whole lot of indentation and all the stuff. This is, I guess, why body. The body is actually going to contain this right there, which means that everything gets 1, 2. I'm going to keep these at 2 levels. The constructor there, so that's going to be fine. And this is a function, so some like function, and I think that will be fine. I'll keep all of that. So yeah, hasn't affected itself much. So let me just go back and delete this and just test it out again. I did hit Control S to save it, by the way. There we go. So now it works and I don't get all this funny stuff. So okay, it's sort of like kind of like we could say it's quite nice there. Why is that red? The reason why is I haven't closed it. So self needs to be closed basically here like that, and that closes the other class. So what I need to do is go back into here, and that's one closure, and then I have to hit return and put the final closure over there, because this one here, if I was to draw it, this is sort of like the nice thing about brackets when you get to use them. It's very easy to find the errors in them. But that one here deals with this one over here. Now the final thing I wanted to put in is this description, so I better just get that in there. So what I'm going to do is remove all of that. Well, I can actually start typing straight in here. There we go. It kind of like does it all for you. Description, right? Don't know why it's done 3 of those. There we go. Description. Why did it do 3 commas there? I don't know. Let's just try that again. Description. That's a bit of an interesting one. It's from three quotations. But anyway, create a, let's just see, log output to the a standard. So there you go. We've just seen kind of like the beginning of setting up of something where we want to do like what we'll call possibly like a larger pattern. So that's our first pattern. And what I'll do is I'll put a comma here, because if we did want to do something else, I wonder if I sort of like left a blankie over there. No, expects a key value pair. I guess the error is going to say that, like missing properly expected. It's expecting the snippet of some kind, like what it's going to be. So Control Z. There we go. So that's my clean code. It's all like waiting for the next snippet to come along. In fact, sorry, what it was actually expecting was a key value pair. So it's expecting something like blah, and then a colon, and then all of the rest of it. So if I did want something else, it would look like that. Now, why have I got that? Missing property body. Okay, is that because this hasn't got a body? Yeah, so it's expecting now a body. And again, I get these 3 quotes, and now it's like looking happy. So I could have more things in there, but I don't want a blah in there at the moment. So just leave it like that. And I'm not like 1,000,000% sure about why I'm getting those tabs, but maybe that's just the way that it is. I'm just going to go over here and just look at these, if these are tabs or not. Yeah, these are tabs as well. Okay, fine, doesn't matter. You only create this once, and then it sort of like works forever. So it's kind of like nice, and there we go, it's done. So I've got this snippet now that sort of like works in a nice way. And I guess if I saved it to, I don't know where this snippet file is actually saved. There we go, it's in my local drive, which is, that's not good, because really where do you want your snippets to be saved? Somewhere that whenever you open up your application, but I don't mind, I'll live with it for now. I want to kind of like point my snippets to my, like, I don't know, my Clouds drive, my Google Drive, or my OneDrive, or so forth. So, which is where all the code lives. So if I look over here, we can see from the breadcrumbs, this is called the breadcrumbs, you can sort of like see where the file is. So I wonder if you can see the whole file there, like we see the part, yeah, we can see it's in my drive, and so forth, all the way to the test folder. So yeah, that's that. Let's just recreate this, just make sure that this is all working now. So when I type in class, we go here, and it sort of creates a standard class, and it tells me it's a user snippet. That's interesting, because if I type in for JavaScript language basics, I'd have expected a class to be part of the JavaScript language basics. That's a bit of a weird one. But anyway, you do get some of the basics. They get thrown in for free. In Python, you get no basics thrown in for free. I like to use the basics because it's kind of like, then it gives you this convention, so every time you do it, that you are running with convention, basically. I wonder if it's got a for each there. It's got a for each, but it hasn't got a convention for it. So snippets are good because they let you stick with convention, because every time you write something, it's there. Snippets could be bad if you've got some sort of bad convention because you're repeating it thousands of times. So we're going to try and stick with convention as much as possible. So that's that. But let's continue anyway. Where were we? We were at the point of get rid of this and so like plus. There we go. I'm going to go to my like maximize the width all the way down to this 80 characters, so to like gets the font nice and big so that people can read. That's over 80 characters. So what if I can do? You can't do yeah, it's Control Plus and it sort of like increases the size. You can't like in some applications you can increase it sort of like zoom, like a certain number of percentage to get it right to the end. But I guess one thing is here is you've got the breadcrumbs, which is quite nice, or the mini map. This is called a mini map. I can't remember if it's like defaulted or standard that thing. Is it? Let's have a little check. I think it just comes with it again, and that's one of the nice things. I like all of the stuff that comes with it. So this mini map, which is here, it sort of like shows you the shape of your code, and you can like fly to your code quite quickly. And if you've got an error message somewhere, like normally that would have created an error in Python because there's a space somewhere. So you know that would have been an error in Python. This isn't an error in JavaScript. But if I do blah equals I don't know x and then blah. There we go. Finally, I've generated this error. You know, I can see my error very fast. It's like where I'm going there. To like go and find the error and remove it, and delete that. There we go. And you know that piece of thing went red, and it sort of like showed itself up. So again, if I do blah, you can see the error coming up everywhere. This has highlighted itself red. I got my problem saying here, expecting something. By the way, when I go there, it's expecting. That is where you might use a semicolon if you want to keep things on the same line. There we go. Great purpose for semicolons. Now, it was fine. I could run my code. I didn't need to force semicolons here and there and everywhere else. But when I do copy and paste, and I think the log to the console had it. There we go. Oops. Log to the console. It automatically sticks in this semicolon, and I don't need it. So maybe I'll change it at some point, but log to the console is a JavaScript language basic, and we see in a large JavaScript language basic that we need that it uses a semicolon by convention. So, and I'm actually going to read through why you're where and how you can use semicolons, and I'm going to be semicolonless, and that might annoy some people, but get used to it. This line is red, and this line has been read. And it's as simple as that. I didn't need the interpreter to have a semicolon to say that the line was complete. There are other cases where that won't be the case. Now again, I think on a function it's similar. This function is complete, right? I can run this piece of code. It always opens up this piece on the side, which is, I don't necessarily want the debugger to keep opening, but it'll open it on the side. Nothing's thrown as an error, it's fine. Debugger chats, it's just done its hello world because there was a hello world on line 11. At the moment, we're reading code sequentially, but we're going to find out that JavaScript is asynchronous in some way. But let's move on. We will move on to the section of variables. In fact, before we move on to variables, we're going to move on to a earlier section, which is going to be called comments. I did mention comments. Comments in Python had a hash, so this was a comment in Python. It's not a comment in JavaScript. This is a over here. Let's call it. This is a single line comment, and this one over here, which is a / quotation return quotation / this is a multi-line comment, right? So we've got both of them now. We can write on many lines. Okay, maybe even we might have, I guess, do I do a tab there? Shift tab. I'm going to do a 2 spaces here and 2 spaces there. Let's keep on typing. There we go. So we've got two types of comments. We've got a single comment. This is called a multi-line comment. And we could say, sometimes we call this a block comment. Right, there we go. It's a comment block. And we see the indentations kept in sequence. So I used 2 spaces and it continued with 2 spaces. We could have used whatever we wanted. But they're the 2 types of comments that we can have. I can't think of any other comments. The equivalent of Python is a hash for a single line comment, and these 3, I think it is 3 quotes, which is 3 single quotes. Oops. That in Python is a comment, so that's a block in Python, or 3 double quotes. So just slightly different, but I think one of the things inside of comments is if I got another block comment, I can, and this is a feature that I do like. I wonder if I can do that. Is it something like, no, it's not like that. I want to comment a function, and actually one of the things is here I want to comment this function. So I'm just going to do this because I do want to have this. I want to have a function with a comment. So I'm just going to open up the Copilot again. A function with a comment in JavaScript. There we go. And because a comment here, I actually find this way nicer than the docstring. Just simple as, and it's more conventional. So comments used to make explain code. Okay, I didn't want that, but what I wanted was to over here. Oops, sorry, this conversation. Okay, this is annoying about Copilot, but I have to live with that because I'm not on any sort of paid for version. Function with a comment describing variable or params, the params in JavaScript. There we go. It's common to use the JS doc comments to describe functions and their params, right? And I'm going to stick to this religiously. Python has a couple of conventions, and that's annoying. I just want one because it's easy, right? And this is the one. Oh, it's because you do 2 stars there. I think, is that the 2 stars? And is that the way that you can? I wonder if here I go. Yeah, there we go. It's the 2 stars, not 1 star, and this is more like a block of comments here. So this is another. And I wonder if I do the curly. No, it doesn't do that yet. If I go back here, I do at param. Okay, let's just try that. At, yeah, there we go. It's got these extra little pieces in there. I wonder if I stuck the at sign in here. At, no, it doesn't. So I'll keep that there. But this one with the double stars lets you put in extra pieces, and that describes your function. So when I want to have a function over here, and if I want to comment my function, so double star, what is it? Star, yeah, there we go. So it's a js comment, so that's it, tab, that's what I want. It does it all nicely for me. Right, now what do I put in the params over here? Let's just go back. It's the type, right? So and then the name of it. So here it might be int. I think it's int, isn't it? No, it's number, isn't it? Because there's no such thing as an int. You don't have int and float. So I'm thinking Pythonically. In JavaScript, integers and floats are all just numbers. Lovely. There we go. It's just a number now, right? So if I want to call my function, and my function's got some name. So I was going to use the underscore, but I'm not going to now. Function. Right. If I can type though. So that's my function over here. And the other thing about this is that, so number one, it's still like a nice entry and it's like common. Now, I don't know. Do you want the description outside of the function or inside? In Python it's inside, in JavaScript it's outside. I actually think in a way it's cleaner outside, because if you've got this, although I see why you might like it inside because everything's sort of like contained within the function, cool. So, I don't know, it swings around about again. I prefer it outside, it's cleaner. But I like this syntax highlighting and all the rest that we're given, and we're not given in a Python function. So when I go in here, if also, I should be showing this, but when I'm in here, if I do a define of a function, there's my docstring, by the way. There's no such thing as at or whatever. I wonder if I could put this quotation. Maybe you could make an F string out of it. But then it would, well, I guess a signature goes in here. So A is an int, for example. Here, I wonder if you could do A like that. So maybe you could have I've never tried an F docstring in Python. That's an interesting one. Because I wonder what happens when you try to call your function over there. Class, def function, just function, open brackets, int none. Like, does it have a description? Well, when I hovered over it, it doesn't have a description. No, it doesn't have a description there. Oh, is that because I've got function up at the top, maybe? Function 10, I'll just call it here, and I'll call this one function. I'm just going to stick this F string back in here. Function, and then it's going to be underscore 10, like that. And then when I do the open brackets, it's still got a none. No, int none. So it's kind of, it hasn't recognized the docstring. I wonder if I remove that now and then do the open brackets. Yeah, now it's recognized. So I couldn't do an F string or F of the docstring, and that's a little bit annoying because basically, yeah, like, you know, I can put all my variables in and so forth, and you do it by indentation and all the rest of it. So, you know, over here it might say what A was. There's different conventions for all of these things, but I guess over here you do the args and something like A, and put the number of people, right? And here, when you now go over it, you know, you've got this little constructed docstring, and that's kind of like the Pythonic way of doing it. And you know, this is called the signature over here. JavaScript, are we going to get a signature? I'm not sure that we will get a signature. So, or are we? My function is declared, but it's never read. Okay, well, that's because we need to call it at some point. X equals my function. There we go. Now it's read. Okay, open it up, and it's got params over there. Have we said anything about params? Not really. So let's just go back and see what that looks like. So yeah, there we go. So like the first number to add. Okay, I just copy that out there and put params over there. The first to use. Right. Now when I hover over that, there we go. Really nice. We've got a lot of colorization, should we say, and it's describing my parameter, right? And my parameter here is params, but it might not have been params, it might have been something else. But now I need to be careful maybe, because this one has to coincide with that one. But I guess on the Python version as well, I have to be careful in the sense that if I rename this, well, I should rename the description. But one might argue that, that's sort of like maybe logical in a way because your doc string needs to match your thing, and that's you not like documenting your code properly. So, go ahead and document your code properly. Well, that's true. So in all languages, document your code properly. So if I change this to not params anymore, but people, the number of people, num of people, or number. I won't use of. I'm going to get rid of all the time. So number of people is like that. That's how you should use camel case. If you're using camel case, remove the ofs, right? Then my first parameter, copy that, and I'm telling people what it's going to be. It's going to be number of people, right? As in number of people, number of people. Now, this is the thing about these dynamic languages, right? JavaScript, Python, compared to static languages like C++ and all the rest of it, which is that this number of people, we are hinted, not even type, I'm going to call it type hinting actually. We are hinted or type hinted. We're told the number of people is of type number. It's a number, it's not a string. But, of course, when we call a function, we can call it number of people and then go, Darren, there we go, right? And then it doesn't do very much at the moment, our function. So let's log to the output. So let's log to the console, and removing this spelling little semicolon. I might keep semicolons in at some point, like as in I'll keep the conventions in. But log to the console and then put not a quote, but num people. Now that turns from dark blue to light blue because it's recognized as in. So that's kind of like it, and we can now run our function. In fact, to run the function, just to call a function, I don't need to assign it a value, but if I did assign it a value, I think it still gets run. So I didn't need to assign the return value of the function, and we haven't even talked about how functions return things yet. This function is just running something, but let's just do this anyway and just run it F5, right? It hasn't, even though I said that I was expecting a number in here, I've got back a string, and we don't know what strings are yet. We haven't discussed them, or numbers or anything else, but we've got back this different type. But it worked, it didn't crash, it didn't fail. I could have also called my function like this, because it's not returning anything at this point, and run it again, and I get exactly the same. Hello world and Darren, because Darren is what I passed in as the argument to the function. So let's just go back now, because we're ready. So we've done different sort of like cases. Again, oh, this is really annoying me. Every time I type in log wrongly, it requires the console. Right, there we go. I don't need that F5. Let's run my code. There we go. I don't need that log to the console thing. It's when I do this, log return, and it realizes that I haven't called log anywhere, so it's doing console log equals require console. Yeah, that's kind of like that. That'll be a bit annoying, but anyway. We've done our sort of like cases, a couple of them. We haven't done all of the different cases. We've done our comments. This is a single line comment. This is a multi-line comment, sometimes okay, or block comment. And this is a, I'm going to call it over here. Where is it? Sorry. Yeah, we've got two lots of multi-line comments because I copied and pasted. This is another multi-line comment. It is a bit more dynamic. Okay. The only difference being the extra star because of // Ooh, look at that. Recognize and close all the stuff. But because of basically this over there. When I do the quote, it opens. It does open it right / star. There we go. Right. And if I do this at keyword, it's got other things in here. I don't even know what they, like a whole bunch of them are, but also I could put this one in, right? And then I suppose it's a type of it, a string. I don't even know what a string is, like how to define a string. I don't even know what happened here. F5, will it run? Yeah, it's all fine. That's I presume that in that should be the type of whatever it is. So new. Okay, it's interesting. Author Darren. Everything afterwards is green, so I'm wondering what that will do. That's interesting. But if we type afterwards, we get some green. I'll look into that. Very nice. So we've got this extra functionality anyway. But that enables us to have a nice doc string. And in our doc string, it certainly enables us to say the parameter, the type of the parameter, and what the actual name of the parameter is, and then describe it. So we've got all of our things in like lots of different colors. Really nice and very good. So let's continue. I was going to go to strings and other things. So we're now on variables here, and we've seen our first one, which is numbers. So var my number equals 100. Right now, we could just do, I think, var number, my number. We've declared that number is a variable. Hold on, but have we just? I wonder how we just. Is it just go? No, we have to do var, and then I wonder if. Right, I'm going to just do this quickly because I need to remind myself. This variable in JavaScript. So used to Python. Python is very easy in this regard, but actually JavaScript is very easy in this regard too. Using the var, let, or const depending on the scope. Okay. So, and then it automatically recognizes this as a string. Type hint. Let's just do type hint, the variable in JavaScript. That should be sufficient. It's not part of the language's syntax as it is in other languages. So, however, you can use the js.comments to provide type information that can be useful for documentation and development tools like IntelliSense in VS Code. So you can do something like, and I think basically you're going to have to do this. I wonder if that's sufficient over there, which is numbers, my number. Now, something like this. Var number, and then it knows it's of type number. Interestingly, I've literally just said what the type is here. I wonder if I commented that out when I hover over it. Now it's of type any. So this is a multi-locator notes. Okay. So, right, okay. It's just reading all the stuff above it. So basically the script is reading what's above it. So if I wanted to type into number, So I'm going to say, in a way, at the moment, that's a tiny bit annoying, because in Python you could do something like this. Right, that was telling it was a number. So JavaScript literally has nothing like that. Now if I just put equals 100 like that as a string, I wonder what it does. It's expecting a number, but it gets a string. Now both Python and JavaScript will allow that. And when you come to big code blocks and people that use strongly typed languages, they will like say, oh, that's terrible. People that use weakly typed languages are like, well, actually it's really, really convenient because I want my number to be whatever it is. Now here it's understood to be a number. So again, if I comment this one out, I wonder if it knows now. It knows that my number is a number. It's also reading all the other nonsense above it, which is kind of like a tiny bit annoying, but maybe, yeah, interesting. So I guess this piece here, this multi-line comment, I'm going to delete that or put it down at the bottom, X. And the reason why is because it gets read, right? And I only want it to get read before the function there. So I'm going to put it out of the way, right? So if I did want to do a multi-line comment, I would just do star and close, right, at the moment. Because when I hover over it, I don't want to see all this other stuff, right? But straight away, we get this type inference, and that's what we get in Python. We get this type inference, and that's what we get in all of the dynamically typed languages. But we can hint to say that this is of type. I wonder, yeah, string is valid. Okay, fine. So now I was expecting my number to be a string. It's of type string because it says that type string, and it's not, right? So you should have linted to pick it up or something, as an error. So if I do my number now, and that's recognized, and I sort of hover over it, it says it's a string, but now I do 200, right? And I'm allowed to incorrectly pass this. So here now I can pass this in. I'm thinking that it's a number, so I'm thinking I'm correctly passing it in. And so I'll put in my number now. And my number references 200 because that's what it's on line 29. That was its last creation of it. And I wonder if the memory creation is the same as Python, i.e. 200 is assigned to my number and it changes the memory location. I'll try and find all of that out. It's a bit deeper. But basically, at this point, my number is of type string, but I'm passing it in. I'm expecting it here to be number of people, which is an integer or a number. Sorry. And I can run this piece of code, and instead of Darren, I'm going to get the 200. And this is another thing that I like. In Python, I have to formally change the color and do things to it. JavaScript does this nice stuff for you out of the box. I don't have to, I can see my numbers. I was going to say, I keep saying integers, but they're not anymore. In fact, I'm going to change it now. I can allow to do this, right? 200.0. A number is a number. F5 and run it, and I'll get 200.0 probably. No, I still get 200. It interprets it slightly different. As in, it's interpreted 200.0 as 200. I actually wonder what my number is now. It's still a number, actually, of course. It will be. So the treatment in JavaScript of numbers, we don't have a concept of integer. So that's something to note, I guess. But we don't have, go down here. All of this out, paste this in here, but we wouldn't because it's convenient, right? We just have number, right? Whereas in Python we have an int and we have a float, and we have maybe other numbers even. Generally, actually in other languages we have an int and a float, right? So Is that good? Is that bad? You know. So I press N for new file. I didn't want that. I just wanted to maybe make it sort of like I don't know, heading. There we go. That's numbers, right? This is or objects, hash tables. I'm going to call them objects now. I don't like the word hash table. It's too long, and I don't like the word dictionary either. Never did. Although I can see why it'd be called a dictionary. There we go. So we've got an object. We talked about objects as well. I did a little comparison. We talked about numbers. JavaScript doesn't have the concept of integers and floats, and I can't remember what it actually does, like when it turns a float into an int and an int into a float and things. But as long as you understand the rules in all the different languages, you're fine. Now you'll get people cross-bitching between Python. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, JavaScript's all wrong. Like, and you know, when you add up two numbers and add up this and that, like it doesn't work. And then you'll get people from C++ saying, well, Python's wrong and it's slow. And it's like every language like cross bitches versus another one. I actually quite like this because it dealt with pretty much nearly everything I needed to do. And I'll deal with the edge cases on my own anyway. I also actually get used to this. Like, I guess like everyone's seen me already say int, you know, when I meant like int and float when I kind of meant number and number now. So it's a convention that I'm just going to have to get used to and live with and learn. And as long as I can adopt it and respect it, it's fantastic. Maybe there'll be cases where it breaks. I will find out. There's always going to be edge cases. People love pointing out the edge cases, but let's see then. So that's our little comment on that. So this has to do with, or maybe I'll actually reopen this. Typing, right? And there is actually a module in Python called typing, so it's probably a decent word for it. This is dynamic. I did a copy there. This is dynamic. Okay. This is static, or we call it weakly typed, right? These languages, these scripting languages are weakly typed, and this is you need to define your type on a lot of these, like other C++, C sharps and so forth. It's strongly typed, and they prevent errors in a way. So this is script. This here also is our script, and this is, I guess, code, should we say, or yeah, I'll just call it code for now because I can't think of the right word for it. So they're scripting languages. So these are like, you can get away with, these are flexible and this is inflexible. So, you know, flexible. These are good for smaller projects, right? Where it's fine, you know, if you've only got 2 or 3 variables and whatever, you know, it's fine. But so these are good for small to medium projects, and these are good for large code bases. Okay, that's kind of like, you know, the difference between our scripting languages and our strongly typed code. It's going to annoy me for a long time, but what is the opposite of a what is the opposite of a scripting language? There we go. I want to use the right word. It's going to annoy me forever. Interpreted. That's the word that I was looking for, or compiled. So which are interpreted and often used for automated algorithm. And the compiled languages are translated into machine code by a compiler beforehand. That's the difference. The bytecode is more efficient. Okay, so that's sort of like what it is. What's this little explore thing? That's interesting. I'll click the button. Scripting languages. Scripting languages are generally slower than programming languages because compiled programs I should generally slower than compiled programming languages. Okay, because compiled programs are converted into machine code, and the difference being that the scripting language will compile it as it's running. So it's called just in time, at least for the for JavaScript. But actually, they're super damn fast. And when we say over here smaller projects, some small projects like the World Wide Web, right? So it's not exactly small. Like these hundreds of little small things make up the World Wide Web. So, and the same thing for Python, huge projects actually, which are broken down into lots of small projects. So, but anyway, this isn't code. This is special unformatted text compiled. Okay, that's the difference, right? So you've got scripted languages, you've got compiled languages. Compiled languages compile into bytecode, they're faster. The bytecode's faster once it compiled. But it's annoying to compile, so I actually prefer scripting. Scripting, I can open up and run straight out of the box, from my VS Code that I downloaded in 2 seconds. Or I could even, haven't even got into this, and this is the whole point of it, if I do open up the browser somewhere, and sort of like go and inspect the elements. I think it is over here. Is it inspect? There's my code. I can see it here. I can literally run this thing inside of the browser. Fantastic. And all of the other bits and bobs. I have to remind myself of all of this. Here's the console. That's where I'm logging to. Console.log. Right over there. I wonder if I can run that. But anyway, it sort of like points to the other bits, and you can sort of like navigate. You can see here, console.log done. Ooh, didn't get that to run. Can I run that single line of code? I don't know. Revealing the sidebar. No. Evaluate selected text in console. Ping. There we go. Console.log done. Fantastic. And it did it. And can I actually write more in here? No. But we can see now, although I'm no expert at this at all, I've had sort of like overviews and this, and I won't get back into it. I wonder if I click, it goes there. There we go. So we can run some sort of code in our code is running in the browser. That's exactly what's happening, and it's JavaScript, and it's not Python. It was annoying me that it's not Python. It's annoyed me for a long time. I'm going back to JavaScript for a considerably long time. You should use the multiple languages anyway. So this is a big drive back. So I think, I wonder, like, have I overdone things or whatever? Has it gone too long? I don't know. 3 views on here. Fantastic. People come in and go, but I'll never know. Say hello if you were here. Say hello. There we go. My function, my number. Is there anything else to do? Okay, where were we at? So, oh yeah, we were on numbers, right? So I can declare the type like this. So this is of type number. Let's get it correct, okay? And that was fine. Generally speaking, you don't do that, but you can do that. Anyway, the next one is var. So I always use var at the moment. Why not? We'll get into that as well. But let's just do my name, right? And my name is now going to be a string, but I haven't defined it anywhere. So I can just do var my name. But if I do var my name equals and then assign it to something, I can use either this or double quotes. So that's all like convenient. And can you do double quotes in single quotes, and how does it work, and all the rest of it? We'll get into those sorts of things and nuances. I tend to use single quotes for the most part. I tend to use them nearly all over in Python. Is that correct to do in JavaScript? I don't know yet. So anyway, my name. Right, so there's my name. I wonder if I hover over it, well, it knows it's a string now because I've assigned it a string. But if I didn't, and I thought I did that, my name is of type any. Okay, fine, that's like Python. I wonder if I just did here now, my name equals, like when I hover over this, it's still of type any because I haven't said what type it is, and it doesn't know what type it is. So the only way is it appears to me of doing that, but can I assign it a type in any other way? So let's just have a look. Let's get rid of that for a sec, and I'm not going to go into TypeScript yet. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. I kind of like want to avoid TypeScript at the moment, as much as I possibly can, because I don't want to always have types in there, if that makes sense. It gets annoying. It's actually quite nice using without having to force declare types everywhere. So whilst I get, that these compiled languages, have this advantage of this, you can never change the type. Maybe I want to. It's convenient. It's a modern computer, so I can. Right. JavaScript. Define a type in JavaScript. Right, there we go. Let's just see if it comes up with that same comment it did before. Because did I ask it in the same thing? I probably did. I wonder. If I asked it in the same chat, it's going to give me the same answer back. Let's just see what. Right. Let's just see. Opened up a little snippety thing here. So we've got numbers, strings, booleans. Okay. Something that annoyed me a lot in Python was booleans. They started with capitals, but then when you get used to it, it's actually okay. We can see here the object. I might actually copy a lot of this, but what I wanted to do was say X is of some sort of specific type, and it just seems to be that you have to comment it in. I might copy all of this. Well, I've got numbers already in there. Well, actually, I don't have numbers all in there, and I use var a lot. I'm going to start not using var. Okay, let me just go, because this is kind of like, given that we're going to use it a lot, when do we use var and let? So let's just go. Sorry, this conversation has reached its limit. Okay, I'll use another conversation. When to use var and let in JavaScript. It knows already because people must have asked that loads of times. The reason why I like using Bing at the moment is because it does the autocomplete. It's quite convenient. So I've asked this 1,000 times myself anyway. var, okay, function scoped. Variables with var are scoped to the function which they are defined or globally if declared outside of the function. Hoisting variables with var are hoisted, meaning they can be referenced before they are declared in the code. Okay, that's the difference. Now, I will use hoisting, but I might not use hoisting here. But what that actually means is that if I var something, what it's telling me is I could actually call it first. So I could do my name above it. And it does, it works fantastic. In Python, it throws you an error. So var hoists, that's nice. Now, if I turn that into a let, I'm going to turn it into a let and I do my name. I wonder, actually, it still let it happen. I wonder what happened if I tried to run this now. F5, right? Through an error. Did it throw an error? That's all I did. Here we go. Now, this is one thing that might annoy in a way. Well, it does annoy and doesn't. In Python, it would actually jump and put a whole big red block and all of the stuff here. But actually, when it's done here, it's done this, and it lets me click on it. My name equals 10. Doesn't like it. Okay, opening the file editor and it goes to the line. So good way of debugging. Actually, quite like it. I'll get used to that quickly. Now, if I did var and tried to run that same thing, I wonder what will happen. Will it run through? Because now it's hoisted. Yep, it does. There we go. Fantastic. So var lets you hoist. And hoisting means I could put this anywhere now earlier, right? So good to know. I'm going to, at the moment, just do let and let, right? I'm not going to hoist. I kind of want it to be sequential, but this is one of the niceties. This is actually a nicety because I want functions are automatically hoisted in JavaScript and not in Python, and that's why in Python you need the if double underscore name equals double underscore main idiom. Bloody annoying, just annoying, because that does the hoisting for you. Well, I don't know. Given that I always want my code to be written, and I really have always wanted it to be hoisted, I sticking that if double underscore name equals double underscore main every single time in every single piece of code as a pattern in Python just annoyed the crap out of me, right? Because it should annoy the crap out of you, because then you have to sort of like everything. I have to remember at the bottom of my code somewhere to put if double underscore name equals double underscore main. I never have to do that if I'm in JavaScript. Good, I've got rid of that. Don't want that. Horrible feature. Well, not horrible. It's very useful actually. Could use it many ways, but I prefer this. So there's some things that are good, some things that are bad. I'm going to win and I'm going to lose. Just finding out which is which basically. So let's go back actually on this thing, just make sure that that was running. Okay, that's fine. We continue, just it stopped my actual application thing, but that's cool. I don't need it. I've only got two browsers there open. Okay, fine. So I'm using let everywhere for now until I can't use let. That's going to be the rule. There we go. New rule invented. Let me just reduce that a tiny bit so it's not there. And I will also, I do want to get quite fast because at some point I want to remove, don't necessarily always want this. I want to see if I can get a Jupyter notebook equivalent for JavaScript, which I've seen that you can do, and I probably want to attempt to do that because then you don't need a terminal and you can do a lot of testing in there. One thing that you could do in Python was you could have a, I can't remember what it's even called, but interactive Python, that's what you could do, was if you did a percent hash or something like that, hash percent. So if I did this, which was, it would create a little block of code and I could run it. So I wonder if I could have the same thing in JavaScript. Let's actually type that in, see if that can be achieved. I think it's called interactive. Right, here's the thing. How do I define interactive? Something like, there we go. You could do this percent in VS Code while editing a Python file. Then an interactive cell is created and can be evaluated. Really, really nice feature. Now, am I not going to get that? If you have the Python extension, you can use a Python extension. But can you do this for JavaScript? I don't know. So you win on the one hand, and then you lose on the other hand. And maybe in JavaScript, one of the things is that you can't do that because it needs to be synchronous, and certain things will or won't break. I don't know, but it's called the interactive session. So I wonder if I can copy this little piece of text. No, but I can copy this text. Interactive mode VS Code for. I could actually ask a question. which I might do first. Is this viable for other languages, such as, I could look like a pro. There we go. I don't even know. Let's have a look. Is this or similar achievable for other languages such as JavaScript? Add a comment. There we go. And I'll put that here and hit there. Interactive mode, VS Code for JavaScript. Go. Let's have a look. Is there an immediate window in VS Code? It's immediate. I wonder if immediate window is the same. How to debug an interactive app. That's an interesting one, but it's 2018. That prompts you. That's the integrated terminal. Not good enough as an answer because we know about the integrated terminal. We're using that now. Is there an immediate window in VS Code to run JavaScript? Yes, I use the F12 in the browser all the time to test out JavaScript snippets with the console. Okay, sorry. I think actually there is a way of doing it. In fact, there's something that was really good. So I'm going to test it out. That's never worked for Python. It works for JavaScript. It's something like JS snippets or something like that. But let's see what the answers are anyway. I've read that in VS Code you can use the immediate window to run JavaScript. I haven't tried it. I think that when I did it, told me I can't evaluate while in design. But I do like to use VS Code. Sometimes just mess around with the syntax and snippets. JavaScript there running quickly and packing down. Okay, there's a couple of things here. As of at least my current version of VS Code, debug console while debugging lets you run arbitrary JavaScript as you would in the VS immediate window. But you can still execute JavaScript in there. Install the Code Runner extension. Well, I've got Code Runner running. Okay, open the JavaScript VS Code user shortcode Control Alt N, and the code will run, and the output will be shown in the output window. Control Alt N. Let's just have a little bash of that. I don't even want to do it that way, but Control Alt N. Oh, there we go. Done. Exited the code in 0.842 of a second. Okay. So that's quite nice. I wonder if that works for Python as well. It's sort of like cleaner that way, because then I've just got that, hasn't started the debugger and closed the debugger. But what I was actually thinking was, I mean, there's various different things, but for example, could I just hit that and hit run code? Oh, there you go. You can hit that and run code. Okay. Hit that and then just do run code. Right. Hit that and do. But that won't run anything because there's nothing to run. Or is there something to run? Is it running that all the time? Yeah, I think if you selected nothing, it might run it all the time. So if I do that and then hit and then do. I don't like that. That's because my thing's over there, I guess. Let's do that again. There we go. Run code. So that's quite nice. That's super fast because I ran nothing there. Whereas here, I'm just going to run all the code, run code. If I don't select anything, it seems to run everything. So there we go. Fantastic. I've got, and that's Code Runner. So there are things that you can do, but I wanted to do something extra, which was, so that runs a little snippet of the code, which is quite useful. But I wonder if you could do extras. Ah, Quokka. Well, I have that. I think I've always had it installed, actually. Or did I uninstall it at some point? Or did I not install it on this, but I've got it installed elsewhere? But when you do Quokka, it actually runs the code as you're actually typing, which is quite cool. But then it gets a bit too much sometimes as well. So maybe I know I've got it on other PCs, but I haven't got it here. So it's got things that you can do, which is quite nice to know. Where were we? We just did numbers. So let my number equals 100. And actually, sorry, let my float, there we go, my integer equals 100.0. Now, I think that will still be a float, by the way. By the way, it's just known as a number, but I think with the O, maybe if I put an O1 for sure, but like in Python, that was sufficient to get me a float. I'm going to just go put an O1 for now, because I don't know if 100.0 turns out to be I'll call it integer-like and float-like. I've got no idea. But I could call this, now I'm not going to call it my number anymore. Maybe I should call it my int. Now I can refactor all of the code here somehow. Can I do like rename symbol, my integer? There we go. Boom, changes it everywhere. That's quite nice, right? I quite like that. My int, my float. But anyway, that's a VS Coding thing, not a JavaScript thing. But anyway, let my name equals now, instead of typing in, that it's a number. At the moment, my name was of type any. But if I say it is Darren, because that is my name, then I wonder if next time I hover over it, over here, if we get the automatic inference that it is a string. So, and this is probably the easiest way of doing things, basically. As in, like, I could say my name and, then do it that way, but it's fine like that. Now, if I wanted to, very specifically, because it was important for me to do that, I'm just going to have to do this, which is at type that, and then put string like that. I don't know if I can do this. Okay, so I could do that, and now it's of type string, even if I didn't assign it. I wonder if that's the case, if that's valid. There we go. So I could put the typing in. Sometimes I will do that. Okay. What I'll do is I will do that. Okay. And then I'll put my name equals Darren over here, right? So we've got a string this way, but then I can just do let my second or my new name, okay, equals Fred. There we go. I'll call myself Fred. Right, now I haven't put any semicolons anywhere. My new name is of type Fred, right? It is of type string, not type Fred. Now my new name now is of type any. So perfect. I don't even know how to spell. Like, I don't even know why I use that name. Well, somebody messaged me before was called Fred, so maybe that's why. Fred on my mind. There we go. So I've got those types, but let's go back because I did have them up here. So just remind myself. We've got numbers, and this is where it's nice. It's like length and weight and stuff like that. I don't have to worry anymore that it's a string or an int or a float. It's kind of like dealt with for me. So there's some strings. Last name for color. Okay. Let's do booleans next. Copy that, and so numbers, strings, okay, booleans next, okay. Now I'll leave the semicolons in there just to show you that you can, and you can have them and you don't need them. It's totally up to you. But basically, somewhere here, maybe I could log to the console. It takes me time to get there, whereas when I do the print statement, I'll show you a little cheat. I mean, there will be a little cheat, right? But basically, well, I can do print. I think I can do that. And equals, and then log to the console. So I could define a function right at the beginning, because like say print is log to console or something like that. But let's just not do that, but just do log. So we just log to the console. I'm in scripting mode at the moment, so like I won't be doing anything in scripting mode. I'll be doing everything functional. I'm like a functional and class programmer. I don't like script that's in the global namespaces, but it's deemed to be a bad habit, so I stay away from bad habits. This is just for explanatory reasons, but I'm going to log an X, for example, here, and just remembering that we can actually do this, which is select the code and run it. So just move the arrow away from there, because otherwise you get annoying. Control N, and it hasn't done anything because X is not defined. Of course, X is not defined because I probably need to do something like, well, I need to select it all. This is where some of it would fail, because I'd have to move these pieces out, because that would work, so it's fine actually. I could actually just run this code right as is, so we can run it down there and it all works, and I get this true. Now, yeah, I just don't like having to do capitals. In Python you have to do capital T for true and capital F for false, here you don't, lowercase. So fine, we've got booleans. So we've got numbers. Numbers can be integers or floats, but they're all classified as numbers. We've got strings, we've got booleans. Objects. Now this is important, this one here. And you see we've got a data object too. Okay, fine. Because we don't have a data object in Python. We've just got other things. Well, we'll get into that as well. But let's just stick in a object over here. Now, just by way of comparison, just so that we see what we have in the other language, the object is a dictionary in Python, so it'll be something like D for a dictionary, and then it equals to, and then that, and then it's going to have its key value pairs, so something here. Now the key is in a string, so A. Right, and then the value could be like 100, and then comma, and then B, and then the value. Now the value could be anything, right? It could be a list, a string, or whatever in Python. So we'll keep it to numbers at the moment over here, and then C, and then 300. So you've got a dictionary like that, but also you could have a dictionary where its keys are. We could have mixed number 2. Right, so we can have numbers. Well, we can have something like this: 1, 2, and 3, like that. Okay, and we can have another dictionary. I should give them different letters. Whatever. D2, D2, and finally this is D1, and this here will be, you can have B. Right, so you can have a mixture of things. So you can call and there's ways of calling it. So for example, D3, and then these are the things that I can call 1, 3, and so forth. So these are the keys I can call in. The keys I get the value back. So what do we have in JavaScript, right? So here I've got first name. So let's have a look. I've got const person equals first name. I'm going to say let person equals first name. And in fact, what I'll do is I might move my objects now. I might even move the booleans down below too. Keep everything with everything. My integer. I'll just do this and move it up. I'll just keep all of the things kind of like together for the sake of keeping things together. All strings over there. Right. I use that there, so let me just move this up. There you go. There's all my semicoloned out codes over there. So, right. So I can do person, and I can do. This is what I like in JavaScript that really, really bloody annoyed me in Python. In Python I had to do that thingy here, that square bracket, and it was a keys. for the key value pairs. Now here I think I can get away with I can use this dot notation, which is so much better because you get this like nesting naturally given to you. Ah, that's beautiful. Now I want to log that to the console. So let me just put that in a quotation, and let me put that quotation in brackets, and let me log that to the console. So let me type in console. This is console dot log. There we go. Okay. Now I prefer log to the console, and I should have done it before, but whatever. Here we go. Let's just see. Oops, I don't need to. Sorry, I didn't even need to do that. I didn't need that in the quotations because that's person dot first name. Now first name here is John Doe. That was what the example was given to us. So let's just try and run this. We've let this person equal. Let's just run it. Does it run somewhere? There we go, John. Right. So I got person dot first name, and also I could put person dot last name. Look how fast and easy that is. And I could select all of this and just run that little snippet over there, and lo and behold, I get John Doe. So there we go. Fantastic. What else can I do? I really do want to break this into a Jupyter notebook. So let's try I don't know if I can get this, but over here. That was, well, okay, I'm going to do this before I do the Jupyter notebook. I've got to. Like, this is nearly, and I'm going to actually do the date object too. In fact, I might copy them all at the moment because it doesn't harm my course. Now, I could ask where is constant used. I'm going to turn, and the constant is actually constant. Now, in Python, I would have called this cars like that, so it knows it's constant, but we don't have to because we've got the constant keyword there, cars. I wonder if I hover over it. No. Let's just go here. What is this in JavaScript? Question mark. Okay, I hope it doesn't say too much. Constant keyword used to declare variables with a constant value, which means once a variable is assigned a value with const, it cannot be reassigned to a different value. Python doesn't have that anywhere. JavaScript does. The JavaScript is a bit more like a strongly typed language in that sense. So I now can't redefine it anywhere else. So I can't do cars equals, I don't know, can I reassign cars now? A, B, and C. I wonder, because I've called it const cars, can I run code? Let's have a look. No, doesn't do it. Because, so look, does it give the error? Assignment to a constant variable. Fantastic. Type error, assignment to a constant variable. Just what I wanted to see. Can't do that. So good. Constant keyword. Now, I do want to change it, so let cars equal that. But that's what the constant keyword was for. Let's just do let cars equals that. Now, what is this? This is an array, okay? I'm not going to end my array like that anymore. I'm fed up of these semicolons, cleaner code. So I let my cars equal to that, and then I can say cars, and then, now let me just, maybe I can index this thing. How do I call cars of the first index? Cars, I'm just going to do cars 0. In fact, I will log to the console. I will log to the console of cars and then 0. Let's just see if that works. So I try and run this piece of code. Control N is what it actually does, and scroll down. I don't like the fact that it doesn't automatically scroll for me. There we go, it's done Saab, it's called out the first. So that's Pythonic like, so I could do cars 0 and cars 1, for example, there. And again, wonder if I just run it now, if that's in memory. Run code. Let's see what that does. It's annoying me that I have to scroll. I'm not going to keep scrolling. No, okay, fine. So I'd have to run that whole thing. So there we go. That runs fine. So I now got Saab and Volvo because it does it like that. But maybe I want to log, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. But if I just do cars, right? Now, if I did this in Python, I think it'd just point and say it's a dictionary. I wonder if I get the whole cars array here in JavaScript. So, in fact, I'll run this whole thing. Let's see what comes out. Yeah, I do. So it doesn't say it's a dictionary or whatever. And I think here, if I was to, I wonder what would happen if I did that. I can't remember. Print, and then like D3. Oh no, it does. It prints a dictionary. Here's the key. Here's the value. Key value. Key value. Okay. So what does it do here? Well, I haven't done a dictionary here at the moment. I've done a list. Lists are, immensely useful. Now there's loads of list functions and stuff. Sorry, it's not called a list anymore. Back to normal language, right? Another thing to talk about or mention. No more words of list. Well, I got used to list a lot. Where is my little thing over there? Numbers. Arrays. Right. And here we'll have our usual thing. This. So this is now of type heading there, which is a heading, and this is, I'll just click on it actually, I think that's sufficient for that heading. There we go. So arrays, okay, in JavaScript it's called an array. In Python it's called a list, right? Python's got these odd things here. It's got a dictionary, which is an object or a hash table, and it's got a list, which is an array. And generally speaking, what is it called? An array. So some things are inline, some are out. Python's a bit more similar to other languages with ints and floats. JavaScript doesn't have ints and floats, it just has numbers. But JavaScript calls it an array, and Python calls it a list. But really, it's called an array. But an array could be a 1D list. So a list in Python is something actually quite specific because you can add elements to the list and so forth. So it's dynamic. Whereas an array is actually of a specific size. So list is in a way I guess you could refer to it as a dynamic array in a way. Whereas an array in Python is a fixed size in memory. There we go. That's kind of like the difference. So it does differentiate, whereas here the fixed size in memory, in both cases here, I just think it's called an, where are we here? Array. There we go. And here it's called an array, right? So it takes the word array, but this array is actually dynamic, whereas is there, and when I refer to this fixed size memory, I'm actually talking about, like in Python, numpy dot array. That's what I'm actually talking about. Now, does this have a fixed equivalent here? Is there an equivalent? Is there an equivalent of this fixed size? Right. Now, huge advantages to fixed size. They're quicker, okay? Like super fast. Huge disadvantages. Well, you can't stick something inside it, or like you have to do like operations to do it. So the list is flexible and the array is inflexible. The array is homogeneous. The list could be of any type. So let's just try that out actually. I might actually save this somewhere. So file, save as, let's have a look. We will go to our programming Python and then go to JavaScript. and then go to our, well, I had logo. I might have to make an assets folder new somewhere because it's all in non-code stuff basically. And in here is an ODT document which I will convert at some point to a Google Docs and stick it in a site because I might do a comparison, and I probably should do that right in the beginning. But basically over there we are going to do I'll just call it JavaScript versus Python at the moment, something like that. There we go. Just so that it's saved somewhere. So is there a fixed size, right? Let's try that out. I can hit S now. There we go. Or at least, what can we do? Well, we can add things to the arrays. So for example, we could do cars dot, probably append, no? Every field to flat, for each, join, keys, push, there we go, push. Appends new elements to the end of an array and returns the new length of the array. So push, and then have we got, not going, I can't look, I'm using single quotes now on purpose, and oh, I hate to advertise for that company, so I'll just call it Ford. There we go. And then we will do log to the console of cars, right? And we'll never guess what's going to happen, right? Let's just run this little piece of code, and we get Ford. We've appended our list, so we got this same thing. So this is flexible now. But now, is there a fixed array, array of fixed size? I wonder. Oh look, why is it still typing stuff out? That was interesting. Oh, maybe because I minimized it halfway through. Did it? Okay, when to use constants. Okay, it's got a whole bunch of other things. Right, but basically, I guess you couldn't change it. I've got to talk about mutable and immutable. I don't know what the concepts are like in JavaScript, but it looks like here you can change the array size, so an array is mutable, whereas in constant there, let's have a look. Okay, you couldn't change it there. Okay, so you could do that now. Okay, you could do operations on numbers, but you couldn't change it. Well, it looks like, oh, you can't change its type. Okay. Anyway, the constant thing means it's constant basically. What was I going to do? Car salvo. Okay. Oh yeah, fixed size array. Fixed. How to make a fixed size array in JavaScript? Question mark. It always guesses Java before JavaScript. While you truly cannot fix an array, you can simulate a fixed array using various methods. Here's a common approach using object.seal. Let fix new array. Okay, fine. There you go. Create an array with a fixed size of 5. So you can do that. I wonder if this is sufficient in terms of speed, because all I'm seeking is that you allocate memory space. So like say it's this long, whereas an array that hasn't done that is just dynamic in size. So the fill array will fill the array with the default value. This code snippet creates a fixed size array of length 5, which fills it as null values. You choose a default value and then seals the array. Once the array has been sealed with object.seal, you can't add or remove elements from it. Okay, effectively making it fixed size. However, you can still modify the existing elements. Now, this will make it faster, I think, because it then points to a certain space in the memory block, certain space in memory. Maybe you can vectorize processes. At least that's what you do in Python. So you've got this list, you've got an array. They're two different things, although they sort of like initially look similar. You can modify existing elements in a fixed size array, but you cannot add new elements. You can't do a push. You can't add something to it. That's a list operation. And you cannot pop, so you can't remove things from there. So you can set something to 0. So there's times when you want that, there's times when you don't want it. Remember, object prevents adding, removing elements from the array. It doesn't prevent elements. Does fixing the size of the array make the code faster? Question mark. I don't know what happens. I'm assuming it's going to infer itself to Python. Fixing the size array can potentially make the code faster because it allows the JavaScript engine to optimize the memory allocation and access. This is all done in the background. That's cool. We'll optimize in the background. When the size of memory of the array is fixed, the engine knows exactly how much memory to allocate and can reduce the need for resizing the array as it grows. This can be particularly beneficial for performance when dealing with large arrays or situations where performance is critical. However, the performance gained from fixing the size of the array may not always be significant, especially for smaller arrays or less performance sensitive. So for the most part, we don't need to worry about it, but there will be times when we do heavy intensive code that this might come into play now. Useful to know. It's also worth noting that JavaScript engines are highly optimized for dynamic arrays, so the difference might not be as pronounced as other languages with strict array size constraints. In general, while fixing, that's quite nice. JavaScript does a lot of this stuff for you. In general, while fixing the size of the array can lead to performance improvements, it's important to consider specific use case and test the performance of the impact. Is also good to practice to write clean, readable code and optimize code performance. All the rest of it. As a premature optimization can sometimes lead to more complex and less maintainable code. So sometimes we don't want to have all of this big, sort of heavy stuff on top of it. And this is kind of like where the scripting languages come into play, with JavaScript begins to win over some of the other languages, because you just don't have to do all of that stuff. But it's interesting to know. Now, the last thing is this date object. I haven't used date objects. Generally speaking, in Python, you still use integers and other things like that. You might use them in a NumPy array where it's got some sort of concept of a date time and things like that. New date. I don't even know what's going to happen, but let's just say let, because we're not using const, and then date equals new date, and then log to the console the new date, right? So date. I don't even know what's going to happen. Well, I do. But I wonder if we can see what the type is here. Well, maybe you can already see the type, because here, if I hover over it, it's date of type date. Okay. Let me just run this then. Run code. It's running. I still have to scroll down for the running of the code, but it does this. Okay, and that looks like a date time. Well, it's just a date time basically, which is fine. I might want an epoch time or something like that. Let's just see if there is an epoch time in Python. In JavaScript. Is there an epoch time in JavaScript? Question mark. There we go. Which is number of seconds since the epoch, which is since 1970 or whatever numbers, because that's quite a common thing. I don't know, if there we go. Yes, in JavaScript, the concept of epoch refers to the number of milliseconds that have elapsed since the Unix epoch. The 1st of January 1970 UTC. You can use the current approach in milliseconds. There we go. Seems to bang out a lot of constants. I can only copy this code when it stops responding. ISO format. Right, so this is an ISO format. Now, this is looking interesting because I don't have to import any modules for this. And in Python, I'd have to import the date or the datetime module. No big deal. I can import them. Here it looks like I can do this. Let epoch time equals date done now, and makes this. I don't like going over the edge of the line, so X this one out and put this one over here because that's our comment. Now this is the sort of place I can just going to indent and I won't be punished for indentation. There we go. Right? I just want to do that. Right? Because this is kind of like little related thing. Now normally I do it in a function, all the rest of it, but like here's an example where I don't want to be punished for indentation and JavaScript won't punish me. So let's just try and run it. There we go. Number of seconds since epoch is right there. Now, is there a sleep function? I don't know, but we could do the difference between 2 times and so forth. But I never had to import a module for it. I didn't have to do, if I did have this piece of thing open somewhere, I never had to do over here import time or import date time. Right, some of these things were given for me, built in, right, and I would have done time dot time, for example, I think it is, like that, you know, so I'd have set t1 equals time dot time, and then I might have done, copy that, right, t2 equals time dot time, which is cool, really easy actually, very convenient. Python is really convenient, really easy language to write in, so I do like it, I won't like it, and I can do print, and so I used to do this all the time, time taken, right, and then I can see the time, which is t2 minus t1, okay, and then seconds, like that, and then I can sort of like turn it into a, I think it's 2F, so I can format it as well. Something like that, I can't remember what the formatting is, but probably have to put them brackets and then so that I think it would be that. No, I think that will probably break the final piece. Oh, there you go. I can't remember what the exact syntax was for that, but I can rerun it. Why is that slow? There we go, time taken, and that's the length of time where it's taken 0.0 seconds, but yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Can I do that in JavaScript? I'm sure I can. You know, we'll figure out how. Notice how it kept the level of indentation. Now, I may or may not want to do that. There'll be times when you want to do it, and Python just does not let you do that. Right, so now I can be a bit more flexible. Now, the argument is, when would you ever want to do that? And, you know, so forth. Like, you're now coding badly. Yeah, I want an indentation here, because I want this literally to specify something in, sort of like, yeah, for my own thing. And I wanted to put the comment and sort of like have it indented. That's it. So I think I'm going to leave it here. The reason I'm going to leave it here is because I've got things, I need to go somewhere and teach some people. So I'll leave it there. If you found this useful, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, the follow button, and all the other buttons. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. What I'm going to actually do though is over here, I'm going to go back to, oh, I did have it open actually. So that little tab over there was actually the tab. So hit the like button, the follow button, the subscribe button, and all the other buttons. And I'm going to end this stream now, if I can somehow. Just drag it into there and then do end stream. So thanks for watching. Yeah, and share it as well. There we go. End stream. Your stream will stop immediately and will no longer be live. End.